Welcome back to the Reading For It. I'm Miss Manman, and we're going to do another chapter of Toys Go Out today. So last time, I asked you to think about visualizing what the characters look like. And I said you could draw the characters. I also tried to draw the characters, so I'm going to show you what I made. This is my plastic, which is a red ball. Here's my stingray, and here is my lumpy. I tried my best. That's all we can hope for. Today, we're going to try to make a connection to the characters. Think how we may have something alike or face a similar challenge. So, today mainly focuses on our friend Lumpy. If you are ready for chapter 3, give me that thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Chapter 3, the terrifying bigness of the washing machine. Lumpy has peanut butter on him. Here's how it happened. He went on a picnic. The little girl and her father walked to a park where there was a big pond and lots of grass and sunshine. The girl carried Lumpy all the way there, holding on his tail. It didn't hurt. And then they all sat on the patchwork blanket and ate peanut butter and jam sandwiches, round green apples, and dried pineapple. They threw rocks in the pond. Then the sky turned dark and it started to rain. The girl and her father ran home as fast as they could with Lumpy in the picnic basket. The lid of the peanut butter jar was not on tight. Lumpy jounced and joggled and got goo all across his face and his front legs. It was very greasy. When they arrived home, the girl wiped him with a paper napkin, but he was a very peanut buttery buffalo. The father says Lumpy will have to be washed. I don't see what the problem is, says Lumpy to Stingray later that evening. The little girl is out for Chinese food with her parents, and the two of them are building block towers on the shaggy road. You're dirty, says Stingray, placing a block on top of her pile. It's not dirt, it's food. Food is dirt when it's mashed into your fur. No, it isn't, it's food. Why would it be dirt in your fur, but nice and tasty anywhere else? It would be dirt if it was on the rug, says Stingray, or on the sofa. Food isn't dirty, or you wouldn't eat it. I have some nice clean food on me. I don't see that it's a problem that needs washing. If people think it's dirty, then it is, Stingray claims. Plastic rolls by on her way to visit the rocking horse in the corner. People bigger than you, she chimes in. If people bigger than you think it's dirty, that's when it is. Clean is better than dirty, explains Stingray. Like neat is better than messy, and smart is better than stupid, and chocolate is better than lentils, and blue is better than orange. I like orange, muttered Lumpy. Some people do, allow Stingray, lining up her blocks in a neat row, but blue is better. Lumpy does not want to be washed, especially after what Tuk Tuk told her earlier about the bumpity washing machine in the basement. How you go round and round in soapy water, and how it makes you dizzy and stick to your stomach. Lumpy asks Stingray if she knows anything about washing machines. Not from personal experience, Stingray admits. She is dry clean only and has never gotten wet. But she has a lot to say about basements. They are dark and full of rats, she explains, and there are spiders in the corner with 58 legs, and ghosts hide there when the attic is full up, and there's a cardboard boxes that anything could pop out of, like sharks or knives or axe murderers, and more dust than you've ever seen in your life. I don't know why you would go to a basement to get clean, Moses says Stingray, because basements are dirty places. That night, Lumpy tells Plastic and Stingray he'll be going away for a while. He keeps his planned hiding place top secret, even from his friends. He doesn't want to take any chances of being discovered. Then he creeps in the closet, squeezing himself behind a shoebox on the floor. He figures that if the little girl doesn't see him for weeks, she'll forget all about washing him. When he emerges from the closet, he will still be greasy, but she'll think that's just the way it is, not anything that needs to be changed. I am a greasy buffalo, he says to himself, and it sounds pretty tough. For 3 days, he waits in the closet with only dust and socks for company. He hopes his peanut buttery smell doesn't give him away. He waits and waits and waits. He does not come out even when the little girl is at school or asleep. because what if she came home early or woke up from a nightmare? He can't risk it. He is lonely, all by himself in the closet. One day, the little girl is searching for a particular pair of socks. She opens the door and begins rummaging right near where Lumpy is hiding. She's moving shoes and boxes and other bits. "Peanut butter," she says to Mother. "What smells like peanut butter?" Lumpy dives head first into a soccer shoe. It's muddy from the girls' practice the day before. He's too big for it, and he has to scrunch his head and all the way down into the toe in order to hide. Even then, his bottom is sticking out pretty far. And he is so worried about being found that his tail wags back and forth without him doing it on purpose. He holds his breath and tries to stop his tail. It won't stop. He tries to squeeze his bottom in so it won't be sticking out. It won't squeeze, and he tries not to smell like peanut butter. But he stinks. The little girl roots around the closet for 8 days. Well, it's 8 minutes, but it feels like 8 days to Lumpy. Finally, the little girl finds the particular socks and goes away. Lumpy tries to get out. He wiggles, he woggles, he grunts, he humps, he pushes. But he's still in the shoe and his bottom sticking out. Help, he yells! But he is too deep in for anyone to hear him. It is a long day and a long night stuck in a shoe. Around 4 a.m., the one-eared sheep wanders into the closet. Following an interesting smell that he smells, Lumpy can tell it's her because she makes a snorty noise when she walks. What are you doing there? Sheep wants to know. I'm a rifle, says Lumpy. Come out, I can't hear you. Waffle, waffle! What? Sorry, says the sheep. In my ear? I've lost it. Waffle, wumble, bah! Sheep doesn't understand. She's distracted by the tasty-looking lace of the soccer shoe. It's not grass, and it's not clover, but it looks pretty chewable to sheep. She settles down next to the shoe and has herself a lovely munch, pulling the lace out bit by bit. She hears a waffle, wumble noise, and it's irritating, but she doesn't let it bother her. Pretty soon, the sound quiets down to nothing. When she's done chewing the lace, Sheep is mildly surprised to find herself in the closet. She burps and goes out to play pickup sticks with a toy mouse. 2 hours later, Lumpy, who fell asleep wedged in the dampness of the soccer shoe, wakes up to find he can lift his head. The lace has been chewed into 14 small pieces, and without it, she flops open. Lumpy waggles her shoulders and stands up. Then he steps gingerly and creeps out into the bedroom to find the one-eared sheep dozing in the rug. "Thanks," he whispers, nuzzling his woolly friend. "You're a true friend." Sheep has no idea what he's talking about. Just then, the little girl rolls over and makes a mumbling noise. She is waking up. Rumple, wumple, rumple, wumple. Lumpy gallops on top speed to dive behind the rocking horse in the corner. The girl stands up and puts on her clothes. Then she begins looking around, under the bed, behind the bookshelf, even in the back of the closet, where Lumpy used to be hiding. She's searching the room as if she lost something, rooting for the toy shelf, tossing whirly toys and colored markers and board games and mice every which way. Then Lumpy hears a sad sound. He has heard it before, but not often. The girl is crying. "He's not here," she wails. "I need him." Lumpy peeks through the legs of the rocking horse so he can see the girl's face. Her cheeks are wet. "Lumpy! Lumpy!" The girl throws herself on her bed, buries her face in a pillow, and weeps. "She misses me," Lumpy realized. She thinks I'm gone forever. The idea has never occurred to him. He rushes out from behind the horse. Ugh, he remembers the washing machine and runs back behind the horse. Ugh, the girl is crying once again. Oh, the washer! Back behind her legs. So this is the first part. We can make a connection with the girl too. She misses something. Have you ever lost something and missed it? We can talk about that later. But that's one connection you can make in the story. Crying, out, washer, back, cry, wash, out, back, ah! Lumpy cannot stand anymore. He loves the little girl and he hates to make her cry. So although he is desperately afraid of the washing machine and of the deep, dark basement's ghosts and rats and axe murderers, he creeps out from behind the horse while the little girl is sobbing on her pillow. Quietly, Lumpy tips over one of the green rubber boots sitting near the foot of the bed, and he lies down very cleverly right in front of the boot. And if he's been shoved down there and only spilled out when the boot tipped over. When the girl stops crying and looks around for tissue, she sees Lumpy lying there. She picks him up and kisses him all over his peanut butter face, squeezing him until he thinks his buffalo teeth might fall out. Lumpy, she cries, you were in my boot. She pets his head. How did you get in my boot, you sweetie? For a moment, life is wonderful. Lumpy is happy. Then the girl smells him. You stink like peanut butter, she says, and you're greasy. And don't worry, Lumpy, I know just what to do with that. The basement is dark, except for a single dim light bulb shining in the ceiling. There are cardboard boxes piled high and tremendous amount of dust, just like Stingray said there would be. Lumpy can't see any ghosts or rats or axe murderers, but he's sure they're there, hiding in the corners, ready to pop out and scare a buffalo at any moment. The little girl left him sitting in the laundry hamper. She's gone to ask for help with soap. Next to the hamper, the washing machine looms, towering in all its metal whiteness and terrifying bigness. Lumpy shuts his eyes and tries not to ponder it, but he ponders it anyways. He could scramble out of the hamper, he thinks, and hide himself in the corner, but no, there might be a ghost there, and the little girl would miss him. He could try to climb the stairs, but he's not sure he can make it, and even if he got to the top, the girl would find him on the floor and wash him anyway. I'm a greasy buffalo, he said himself, because here's a picture of him in the laundry basket next to the washer. Sounds tough, but he doesn't feel much better and shuts his eyes to block out of the big machine. Ooh, I think Lumpy is scared. I know Lumpy is scared of the washing machine. Have you ever been scared of something? Ooh, that's a connection you can make. Quiet are you, says a friendly voice. Shoot, I was hoping for some company. Lumpy opens one eye. Who's talking? Me, Frank, says the voice. Who else would it be? Frank? The washer, says the washing machine. Lumpy opens his other eyes. The machine isn't moving, but it is certainly making conversation. I didn't expect you to talk, said Lumpy in a small voice. No one ever does. It's a lonely life, says Frank. Just me and the dryer that never has anything interesting on. Rumbles the dryer, a large brown contraption sitting next to Frank. Well, you don't, do you, said Frank, says the dryer. This is how it's all day, complains Frank. She's never any fun. What's that on you, applesauce? Peanut butter. Don't worry, I can fix you right out. Peanut butter's no problem. Done it tons of times before. It's very greasy. I'm an excellent washing machine. Top of my game. Not that anyone really noticed. Tuckna never told me about you, says Lumpy, standing on his hind legs to peek over the edge of the laundry bag. What is Tuck? A towel. A yellow one with frayed edges. I think I've seen her around, complains the dryer. Exactly, says Frank. Those towels are stuck up. None of them ever say a word to either one of us. It's like they think they're so popular. Do you talk to them? Asked Lumpy. Oh, they're busy among themselves, says Frank. I can't get a word edgewise. Not that they'll pay me any mind. Tuck is beautiful, says Lumpy, who is very loyal. Pretty is as pretty does. What? That's what I say. Maybe she doesn't know you talk. Frank had never thought of that. If you don't talk to her, I bet she doesn't know, says Lumpy, feeling helpful. The little girl's father puts Lumpy in Frank's wash tub, adds a sprinkling of powder, and presses a button. Warm water pours in. The tub is rumbling. Frank! Yells Lumpy, anxious to be heard above the din. I don't feel good. Will you stop, please? Can't stop, says Frank importantly. It's a cycle. I feel sick. What does a cycle mean? What a cycle means, explained Frank, is that I have to see it through the end. How long does it last? 22 minutes. Agitation, wrench, second wrench, and you spin. You have 19 minutes left. It's uncomfortable, moans Lumpy as the water slushes him back and forth. Think of it as a little dance, says Frank. Then maybe you won't be sick, but there's no music. So Frank begins to sing, Shuffalo, shuffalo, greasy little buffalo, tuffalo, little buffalo, dance the buffalo shuffalo with me. Dance, dance, prance, prance, dance the buffalo shuffle with me. Lumpy likes the idea of a buffalo shuffle. He does feel queasy again during agitation, but Frank keeps singing as Lumpy sloshes around. And by the first rinse cycle, When the clean, cool water pours in the wash and the soap and the peanut butter away, the buffalo is starting to enjoy some. Dance, dance, prance, prance, he sings along with Frank, waggling his tail and clapping his front paws together. By the second rinse, he is kicking up his back feet and yelling, "Toffee-yellow, little buffalo!" as loud as he can. And when the spin cycle arrives, he forgot completely that the spinning makes his stomach feel weird. It's funny. "Whee!" cries Lumpy. "Look at me!" Then the news washes over. The girl's father pulls him out to go hang on the clothesline in the open air. "Goodbye, Frank," Lumpy calls as the basement door shuts. "You have a wonderful singing voice." "Thank you," calls Frank. "It's nice to have someone to appreciate," says the dryer. Lumpy goes on another picnic the next weekend. Same pond, same sandwich. It doesn't look like rain, though, so his chances of going home in the picnic basket are slim. When the little girl and his father are feeding the ducks, and Lumpy knows they aren't looking, he's very clever. He unscrews the lid of the jam jar and dips his nose and 4 feet into the apricot goo. "I am a sticky buffalo," he says up, "and when I get home, I'm going to go visit Frank." Sitting there in the sunshine on the picnic blanket, he sings, "Shuffalo, shuffalo, sticky little buffalo, tough-lo little buffalo, dance the buffalo shuffle with me. Dance, dance, prance, prance, dance the buffalo shuffle with me." So one of the things we saw is at the beginning of the chapter, Lumpy was really scared of something. Then he tried it and he wasn't so scared. I want you to think about something you were scared of, and once you tried it, you might not have been. That's a way you can make a connection with Lumpy. I'll see you for the next chapter.